Hello, Jan John here. A few days ago I took a walk to my local park. I had only just reached the park when a sudden thunderstorm erupted. Lightning bolts flashed across the sky and thunder shook the ground. It was really quite dramatic. When I left my condo, I had the good sense to take an umbrella because I had noticed the ominous dark clouds. So I quickly opened it and began to look for a place of shelter. Close to me I noticed a large old tree with low overhanging branches which looked like a perfect spot to take cover from the rain. I found a dry spot on the ground, sat down underneath one of these enormous limbs, L-I-M-B-S, and with the additional help of my umbrella I felt quite protected from the thunderous rain. I had been sitting there maybe 10 or 15 minutes when I noticed a frog. He was moving in that peculiar way that frogs do. Several short hops, and then a long pause, as though he was either catching his breath or looking out for some slithery predator. Curious, I thought, how I only ever see frogs when it rains or just after the rain, and began speculating on why this was so. Could it be, for example, that frogs like the rain? Maybe they enjoy the feel of those big drops of cool, fresh water dropping on their backs. Or maybe they live in some dark, dungy hole where they rarely get the opportunity to take a bath, and the rain provides such an occasion. Or it could be that they do live in holes under the ground and they are getting flooded by the rain, so to escape drowning, they come up to the surface. Well, my speculation was not scientific, of course, and I am sure if I just Googled this question I would probably find the correct information. But sometimes it's just nice to let your imagination run wild and enjoy fantasy time. Despite the heavy rain, I quite enjoyed my short time sheltering under this old tree, because it gave me the opportunity to reflect upon the value of nature. Often it is such unexpected opportunities which give us the motivation and patience to ask questions which otherwise we may not be interested in. What is the pleasure of being in nature and just observing natural beauty and letting our curiosity take us where it will? Maybe there is something within all of us which remembers when we were very much creatures of the earth and lived in close intimacy with the natural world. This may have been millions of years ago, but we may still remember it in our genes. and maybe there is some sense of homeliness we get when we are close to wilderness. I have always enjoyed walking in natural places, forests, parks, mountains, and so on. But it is quite difficult to define the pleasure I get from this. Maybe a certain sense of freedom, maybe a greater aesthetic, A-E-S-T-H-E-T-I-C, appreciation of the world. I notice, though, that there are few people who seem to enjoy the same things I do. In the park that day, while the rain continued to pour, I was the only person sitting there. The few people who had been there had already run for cover. But even on a bright sunny day with no rain, there are few people in the park during the daytime. The only popular time seems to be in the evening, when people come to do aerobics or spend an hour or so when they have finished work relaxing or chatting. Whereas if you walk along the road a bit further to a busy shopping centre, it will be jam-packed with people. Here's today's essay question. Sometimes it seems like people would be quite happy if we turned the whole world into one big shopping mall. They don't seem to value or have any strong desire for nature. Do you agree or disagree? Paragraph 1. The development of urban civilization has inevitably led to a world of concrete, tarmac, shopping malls, and roads. Very little of nature survives in major cities because people give more importance to commercialization. And if you live in Bangkok, as I do, it might well seem like people would be perfectly content with no parks or nature whatsoever. Paragraph 2. Supporting nature. It is difficult to make a strong case for preserving nature over the building of more shopping malls and industrialization, but I think we have to try to save the natural beauty of our planet. People do enjoy going to parks, to walk along rivers, to take a hike in the mountains, or go bird watching in the forest. But the problem is that people have become too absorbed with the man-made world. The world of shopping malls, restaurants, roads and cars. They have lost touch with the natural beauty and fascination of the natural world. We need to find ways to revive this interest, building more public parks, zoos, trying to promote nature tourism. These are some of the ways. But perhaps the most important thing is to try to make people realize that we are basically animals, and to enjoy being alive and free in a natural environment can be far more pleasurable than owning lots of possessions or eating expensive food in a fancy restaurant. Taking a picnic to the park can be a lot more enjoyable, as well as far cheaper than sitting in a crowded restaurant enclosed by glass, concrete and steel. Third paragraph, supporting the opposite, how maybe people do just want shopping malls. On the other hand, we cannot deny that this is going to be a real struggle, because nowadays people are becoming more and more consumer-minded. Their eyesight and fingers rarely leave their iPhones, and they seem totally absorbed with what the human world has to offer. If you take a walk around your local shopping mall on a Sunday afternoon, you will find it packed with people trying to find joy and satisfaction. But if you go to the local park, you're going to find a far, far fewer number of enthusiasts who find pleasure in the simpler things of listening to the birds and watching the grass grow. Final paragraph. Although it is going to be an endless battle, if we want to protect our Earth, we have no choice but to try to find ways to encourage people to appreciate nature more and the human world less. That's the end of the essay. I suspect one of the reasons why shopping malls and urban areas have become so popular is because of women. Women, I think, prefer this social and, I would say, contrived world, more than men do. Women love to dress up and pose more than men. They love to shop more than men. They like to sit in fancy restaurants and coffee shops more than men. But of course, men like women. So where there are women, there will inevitably be men. But I think it is the women who often lead the choice of direction here rather than men. Men tend to be more outdoorsy and enthusiastic about pursuits like outdoor trekking, mountaineering, hunting, boating. So I don't want to give offense to women, but I think maybe they can be blamed more than men for the lack of interest in the natural world. What do you think? Maybe you think I have got this wrong. Maybe I have, I don't know. But I have observed throughout my life that when I have visited outdoor places such as mountains, forests, there are very, very few women, if any at all. And even then, they will either be in groups or accompanied by men. Women rarely get involved in solitary activities in the outdoors. This may be either because they don't feel attracted to these activities or because they don't feel comfortable. I'm not quite sure which. But I have always met other men doing these activities. So I think we do need to ask the question about whether men and women have some very different perceptions and interests in these areas, and if women do maybe neglect the outdoors, this may have some consequences. Public parks are a very nice combination of nature and human creativity. People have created parks which have both trees and grass, and also man-made footpaths, bicycle paths and lakes. These are often beautiful designs which are extremely attractive to people, and this is certainly one very positive way of bringing people back to nature. Thank you and goodbye.